All right. So I believe we're live. This is Campfire number 7. It's kind of a new one for me. I don't have a guest today. We decided to try something different. The guest will be you if you want to join. You can join this stream either by commenting on the chat that I see right here, or you can also join live. You'll see a link provided in a little while that will invite you to join this stream and be with me online using your mic, your camera, and we can have a chat. We decided to do something slightly different today because we have a big deadline happening this coming Sunday and the Sunday after. And I'm seeing already questions popping up. That's great from Ryan. I'll get to that. So, yeah, big deadlines coming up, or not exactly deadlines, but if you want to register, you probably want to do it before this coming Monday. It's the early bird deadline. What that means is our boot camps will be slightly more expensive after Monday, this coming Monday, and the one after, if you want to register. And so we invite you to actually register before that. I think the difference is about 15-20%, so it's not insignificant. So you'll probably want to check it out. Um, all right, so let me actually talk about a few things here. I thought I would actually start by sharing some predictions that I have about the coding bootcamp industry. It's something I've been asked to share online. I think there's going to be a few articles talking about that. And so I will actually get into those predictions with you and discuss those. I have 5 predictions for the what's going to happen in 2022 for the coding industry, the coding bootcamp industry, and we can go over that. Now, let me take the first question from Ryan, and Ryan is asking, which laptop do you recommend? It's a great question. So, typically, you would want a laptop that's powerful enough for the later courses in the bootcamp. When you just learn, I would say, HTML, JavaScript, when you learn React, you can use any decent laptop. And if we're talking PC laptop, anything that's $500 worth that would have been paid a couple of years ago will work. However, when you start to get into the server side, so when you start to run Node.js from a server standpoint, when you start to run a database like MongoDB, you start or React Native, when you start to emulate a phone, that's when you want to get a more powerful laptop. And so you should look for something that has, at a minimum, I would say 8 gigs of RAM. If you're looking at a PC, Intel or AMD processor, fairly decent will be fine. Like not the low end of Intel, for example, not a Celeron, not an i3, but minimum i5. You'll want an SSD hard drive. SSDs will be pretty important to run everything fast. If you're looking into Macs, M1s now are working pretty well, and I think we can make everything work. If you're looking into Linux types of laptops, make sure that you're comfortable with Linux. Not everyone is really comfortable with running Linux, and sometimes you actually can get lost. There are some challenges with the Python and SQL and DevOps bootcamp where a lot of instructions are really meant for Mac and PCs, and the Linux ones are not so cleared out. So you probably want to stay away from Linux. Probably want to stay away from Chromebooks as well. So mostly I would say PC and Macs. And yeah, I mean, you want a decent laptop. So something that is like 8 years old, 9 years old, most likely is not going to work for the full duration of the bootcamp. It could get you through the first courses though. All right, I hope that helps. And let me also share with you how you can join. So if you want to join this show, you can dial in using your mic and have your mic and camera on. You can click that link or type in that link url.newcamp.co/dial-in. and you can join me here, and we can have a conversation. So I hope you do that. All right, I see there's a few questions here. It feels weird. Let me be honest with you. It feels super weird to be by myself right here without a guest. The story is we used to have open houses online, and I used to do that with Zendra or another instructor of ours, and we were doing the same thing over and over and over again, and that didn't feel too good. So we're trying this, and it kind of feels bizarre. I want to have someone on the show, to be honest with you. So please join me. Next question is from Ahab Mustafa. I hope I'm not butchering your name. How come there is no JavaScript course? So there is. There's actually JavaScript in 3 of our courses. We don't have a distinct and separate JavaScript course, but let me explain what we have in terms of JavaScript learning. The last 2 weeks of the Web Development Fundamentals Bootcamp, the 4-week bootcamp, is JavaScript. 2 weeks of the Bootstrap course is also about JavaScript. And the first week of React is also JavaScript. So we have a total of 5 JavaScript weeks distributed across 3 different modules. The first 2 weeks in the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript bootcamp are what we call vanilla JavaScript. So basic JavaScript, for loops, while loops, understanding variables, arrays, things like that. And then later on in Bootstrap and React, we can go into what we call ES6 JavaScript, which is when you introduce more advanced methods, especially around arrays or functions. We introduce arrow functions. We introduce, mapping an array. We introduce reducing an array. So that's kind of what we have right now. We are thinking about adding a separate additional 5-day JavaScript module that will be available if students want it in between Bootstrap and React. So that's kind of where we are right now. But there is no JavaScript courses, actually fair and true, but there is JavaScript content, and there's actually 5 weeks of it in the 3 modules that I just described. So I hope that helps and answer the question he had. Tyler. Oh, Tyler is asking a question, and you're welcome for me being here. I'm interested in backend course, but is it hard to find a backend job without front-end experience as well? Well, it's hard to find your first job, period, I will say. So just start with that expectation. Front-end, full stack, backend, your first job is going to be probably the hardest to find. It's not harder, though, than finding another job. And actually, I was expecting that question because we had an interesting conversation on our Slack just today. So let me see how I can... let me do this. Is that good? Let's do it like that. There we go. This is good. So let's actually do a check, you and I. Let me look up for backend. Well, backend jobs. Let's just backend developers. So that's just near me. So very first thing, how will I? There we go. So you'll find. Do I say how many jobs they have here? No, but you can just search for that backend jobs, and you'll find that some are advanced, some are. I saw something about a junior one here, backend developer. So there's a ton of backend jobs here. Some senior, some not that senior. You can then refine your search with specifically maybe backend Python jobs. And Google Jobs may not be the right place to go, but you have a ton of opportunities there as well. Some in person, some remote. You can look for backend. Well, actually, I will go with SQL and Python, which by default, by design, will be backend jobs. So SQL and Python jobs. There's another set. And so it's not that much harder. And typically, you see those job titles are very specific about SQL, Python, backend. This one actually may be kind of a full stack type of thing with JavaScript and React, but you'll find that there are many jobs that only care about the backend, only care about your knowledge of SQL database, schemas, REST APIs, and not so much about front end. So it's just about targeting your search, building your portfolio and your expertise in the backend space, and yeah, I mean you will find a job. It'll be hard, like pretty much every time anyone starts to get into the industry and looks for the first job. I hope that helps. All right, let me do this now. Oh, great question, Ryan. Why do you attribute the 69% graduation rate to why do people not finish? So, and what you're talking about here, let me actually bring it back, I believe, is this. So let me actually first talk about how we track this. Um, so we are extremely transparent in those outcomes. We don't produce an annual report because we produce a daily report on the data. Let me explain that. Every day, we actually track who's completing our boot camps and who answered our job surveys. And every day, so that's data here is from this morning. Every day, actually, we report it and then we consolidate the results every month. And so you're seeing here the results for the month of November. We had 84% job skills rate, and I'll actually explain what that means. 70% graduation rate. And we actually tell you the number of students who graduated based on how many actually were first enrolled. And so you can go back in time and find that information online. In October, we were actually down. We were up in September. And so you can really track those two numbers over time. And you can tell, this is based on 782 surveys for the job skills rate, 71% for the graduation rate here, or the number of students. So right now, as of today, Ryan, that's the 69% you're referencing. And it's 260 students who graduated out of 375. So why do people not finish? Well, they don't finish because mainly three things happened. The first reason is life got in the way. They have other priorities. They cannot afford to pay the tuition anymore, and therefore they are dropping out. They don't want to drop out. They are forced to do it because of life events. And we actually, by the way, anytime someone drops out, we send a survey to that person asking why, and we kind of know, from that standpoint. I don't know exactly precisely the percentage of that population, but it's an important population. The second is someone is going to drop out because they are overwhelmed, not because of life events, but because the pace goes too fast for them. They're feeling like they're not understanding the material. They're feeling maybe that they don't understand coding, or it doesn't work, it doesn't click, and they're dropping out because overall they feel like they're not making the impact that they wanted to have. But I will say that category will be them realizing that something's wrong with the learning experience, with their progress, with how much they actually get it, and they become discouraged and they're like, okay, I'm not gonna complete it. The third population is a little bit similar to that one, but instead of kind of the issue being their ability to learn, it will be us. It will be New Camp's experience, and they're just not happy with how New Camp does things. So that third population will be like, I don't like this method of teaching, and we've had that quite a bit. Some people really don't appreciate to learn without set hours during the week, and having to actually be autonomous during that week, and then wait for the Saturday to really be with other students and be in that environment. And so the New Camp formula of way of teaching is not for them. And so that will be the third bucket, where they want to continue, they may have the skills, they just don't want that type of learning experience, and that's fine as well. And so those people are dropping out. In that number, I don't believe we include the people who've rescheduled their bootcamp. So those people are not yet dropped out. They just reschedule for the next time. And so that number really only includes the people who officially have not graduated and should have graduated otherwise. Hey, Stan, thank you for joining. I'll get to you in a second. I'm just going to finish this presentation, this conversation here. 81% is based on two questions. Are you employed? Are you applying your tech skills? And applying your tech skills can be in your current job, can be actually on the side, freelancing. And we're seeing a ton of students starting freelancing versus quitting their jobs and trying to seek another job in the industry. So that's really our ratios here. And again, fully transparent in terms of how we measure. And I hope that answered your question, Ryan. Stan, thank you very much for joining. Let me actually bring you onto the main stage, and I'm looking forward to your question. Hey, Stan. Oh, you're muted. You may be muted, aren't you? Yeah, can't hear you. Oops. No. Oh, is it me? Let me see. Audio. Okay, go for it again. No. Can anyone hear Stan? No. Stan, I'm sorry. If you can figure it out, and then I'll bring you back on, okay? And everyone, you can use the link that Stan used to join. All right. Sorry, Stan. I'll bring you back when you have figured it out. Boy, the number of questions is great. Okay. All right. Let me look at the questions here. All right. Can I learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript basics from the Odin project and then be ready for the full stack program? Yes. Stop there. Anything free should be what you do first. I'll be honest with you. What we know is starting free or just using free resources often is not enough because you don't have the support of an instructor, of a strong community, but you absolutely want to start free to know if that's something for you. To answer directly your question, we have a 25 questionnaire that you have to pass with 85% correct answers in order to be ready to join the full stack bootcamp. So no matter how you achieve or gain those skills, if you pass that test, that means you're ready. And so use the Odin project, use any other type of free resources or a $10 Udemy course to get there. And then, yes, once you pass that test, you're fine. Thank you, Drew. Hey, if I'm too lonely, join me, okay? All right, let me bring that other question from Kong Mayat Oho. Thank you for joining first. Since finishing the fundamentals class, was the class between backend devs versus full stack devs? Since the fundamental, maybe the full stack dev class makes more sense. What will be the benefit of taking backend Python class? So we typically encourage beginners to start with the backend with Python bootcamp because we are touching on fundamentals programming concepts there with Python, talking about data structure, talking about algorithms. And so typically that's going to really reinforce your fundamentals knowledge of programming. Then you're going to learn SQL, which is kind of a historical way of manipulating data. And then you can, after that, decide to go into the front end and full stack world again. But let me say, there's no wrong option. You can actually start with full stack or start with backend and then do full stack. The main difference is if you're a truly beginner and you feel like you need more foundational knowledge of programming, backend may actually be the way to go. Stan, do you think you figured out your... No? All right. I see, Deya, that you've joined, but I really would like to see you on camera. before bringing you on the floor. So if you can actually turn on your camera, that'll be great. You can also, Dia, I see that you're joined, but you can also private chat me and just introduce yourself. And if if you have a question, I'll be happy to bring you onto the floor. All right. Travis, with no degree, can I get a job after doing your full stack program? Yes, actually, most, if not all, of our success stories, and let me actually bring that up, all, if not more, of our success stories that you see here, no, sorry, not here, the graduate stories here, are from either full stack or front end. We just graduated our first cohort of backend, so we don't have yet success stories of students getting jobs after that. It's going to take, as you can imagine, a few months. But these are all success stories of people graduating. Most of them not having a degree. I think actually that's a good question. Some have bachelor degrees. Many have bachelor degrees that are not in the tech space at all. So yeah, that will be that. Dia, I'm gonna drop you off of the link of the floor here, if you don't mind. Join again with your camera on if you want to join me. And Ryan, let me know using private chat if you can make that work. Oh, Dia is still back. Okay. All right. All right. So here's another question from Cynthia this time. Any way to take any of the courses if I work Saturdays from 7:30 to 4 p.m.? That's a challenge. Unfortunately, at this time, we are not going to be able to accommodate. I was going to talk about the different time zones that we have. And so typically, if you're looking into the Saturday workshops, we offer 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in 3 different time zones. So sometimes you can actually work with that. But I think the times that you're sharing here may not help at all. So unfortunately, Cynthia, I think that's probably a challenge. And you may want to consider joining other coding bootcamps at this time. All right, Dia, I see that you were able to join. Thank you. Let me actually bring you on and looking forward to have a chat with you. Hey, how are you doing?
Hello, I am fine, thank you.
All right. How do I pronounce your name?
My name is Dia.
Dia. All right. Well, pleased to meet you, Dia. What is your question?
I asked about international student when I didn't have experience in code. What first course for me is good for me in beginning in IT or in
Oh,
code?
yes, that's great. And thank you. Where are you coming from then? Where are you joining from?
Ukraine.
Ukraine. Oh, that's great. So we actually have more and more students coming and joining us from international countries, which is really fantastic. By the way, you can join in any of the 3 online communities that we have. You probably want to join in either Online Pacific or Online Central or Online Eastern. And that will actually give you different time zones for that Saturday workshop. So for you, it will be pretty much all the time, either in the afternoon or late at night. But you can pick any one of those 3 time zones to make it work for your schedule. If you're just starting, we really encourage you to start with the 4 weeks boot camp. It's a no risk type of boot camp in a way that you're just going to spend 4 weeks of your time. You're just going to pay $350 maximum if you register actually before Monday. By the way, that's why we have the early bird, and you're going to really be exposed to the fundamentals of programming, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And after that, you'll know if you want to continue forward. You'll know if you actually like the way that NewCamp teaches. As I said, some people actually are not really into the way that we're teaching, and so you'll know after 4 weeks if that's for you or not. So definitely start with the 4 weeks. And then you can decide if you want to branch into full stack or backend and continue the journey like that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining. And what time is it in Ukraine right now?
Now is 1 p.m.
Oh my God, so late. Well, thank you for joining that late. Yeah, and the Saturday workshops for you should probably be in the afternoon, so you won't have to stay up that late. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Stan, have you figured out a way to make your mic work? All right, perfect. Let me bring you on then. Hey, Stan.
Okay, how's this?
Yes, you're here
Okay.
now. We can hear you.
I forgot about the little button on the back of my headset. Just turned
Oh,
off.
that happened to me before.
I mean, the computer and everything, the software, shows it's unmuted. This has worked before with Zoom, so I couldn't understand why it was working. So I took my headset off, and well, the little button back there. So,
Well, so where are you calling from, Stan?
uh, outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice. All right, great. We have several students from there.
Yeah.
Well, what is your question?
Well, I'm just curious. Why Python over Java?
Oh, it's a great question. So Java, that may sound controversial, but I think Java is a dying language. It's been around forever. It still is very much used in many systems. But if you look into the future and where you would want to invest your time and your skills development right now, Python is becoming more and more predominant. And it's also opening the door to additional opportunities in the tech industry. So you can learn Python to, program in the backend and manipulate SQL, but then you can branch out into data science, data analytics. And so I really believe that, and I mean, not just me, but if you look at any developer survey out there, they're going to say that Python is actually growing and rising while Java is declining. Now, there's a ton of jobs in Java. And actually, as a backend developer, knowing both Java and Python will probably be very helpful. But again, if you're looking for your first programming language, Python is probably where you want to spend the most time. There's another reason, by the way, how much easier it is to learn to code using in Python than it is to learn to code in Java. Actually, that just makes me remember that we have an article on that. Let me see if I can put it off or bring it up. I mean, let's see. New camp. Why Java Python? There we go. So we actually wrote a blog article on this specific question. So if you we call it Python is taking over, and speed, syntax. So we actually go into much details around, the decision point between choosing Python over Java, ease of learning, big data, trends in salaries. So that's, Python is overtaking Java as well. Most love the same. But as I said, it's a tough one because Java is extremely still popular. Big corporations have for years invested in Java and built their infrastructure in Java. So it's not like you will be wrong learning Java, not at all. But if you had to pick just one, I would say go with Python. What do you think? What is your opinion?
Well, I want to learn Python. I have 3D software,
Yeah.
so you can write scripts for Python to do certain things on it. So
That makes sense.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
All right. So have you registered yet, or are you going to do that?
Yes, I've already registered.
Oh, that's brilliant. And when are you starting? In January, I guess?
Yeah, I believe it's January the 5th, is it?
January 3rd. It's a Monday. It's
3rd.
probably Monday. It's going to be the 3rd. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing you on Slack then, Stan.
All right. We'll see you then.
Thank you for joining. Take care.
Mhm.
All right. So let me catch up here. Oh my God. There's so many questions. That's awesome. It's working. Is it better to have just JavaScript with more projects? I think that will help with React and Node.js. Ehab, sorry, I'm not sure I follow the what you're meaning here, but so I think overall, in terms of thinking through your projects, you want to favor depth versus breadth, meaning it's not helpful to have 10 projects that are kind of doing the hello world or tic-tac-toe. It's way more helpful to have one project that really goes deep into one particular area and that will really force you to deploy your learning, learn new techniques, new things that you're going to be able to talk about and showcase. So choose depth, adding more features to an existing project, then starting new projects all over that are kind of just a veneer of code that don't do necessarily much. I hope that's helpful. All right, let me go back. And again, you're welcome to join me live if you want. The link is, let me bring the link if you want. There we go. So follow that link if you want to join me live and I'll answer your questions directly. Thank you, Drew, for answering those questions. I see that. All right, here's another question. Any machine learning, AI, crypto, trading bots classes in the near future? I would love to. I will actually add gaming to that list. I'm actually serious about that. I would love to create a serious coding bootcamp for people who want to become game designers. I think we are all, game designers at heart. A lot of the audience that we serve, like myself, are gamers. And that may not be a great path to actually get a good job because there's not so many jobs out there. But just for the fun of it, I will be taking that type of bootcamp myself if I could. But really knowing how to be a great game designer using, Unreal Engine 5 and things like that, I think there's a ton of people who will just want to take that type of bootcamp and just be able to do it. Tell me if I'm wrong on the chat. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But otherwise, no, we don't actually have any of those. We're looking into UI UX. We're looking into cybersecurity. We're looking into data analytics, but not yet machine learning or AI. I would love to do something in crypto myself. I think that'll be very interesting, but I don't know what the job market really is for that just yet. So that's a tough one. All right, we have a question here from Ropes. Anyone have any suggestions for things to do better to prepare for the basic workshop? So I guess you're talking about the 85% survey questionnaire, I would think. You can take the 4 weeks course. That's going to prepare you for that questionnaire, that 25 questions. Or you can learn online. This questionnaire is very much a JavaScript questionnaire or survey or quiz, I should say. And it's going to ask you questions around vanilla JavaScript, how to create functions, variables, arrays, but also manipulating the DOM with JavaScript. And so it's vanilla JavaScript, but a little bit of advanced topics in terms of manipulation of DOM. So any course that can prepare you for that will be helpful. I hope that helps. Gordon is asking, is there any significant content on implementing unit and integration testing for JavaScript, React, or React Native, or developers writing automated tests in our CI/CD pipeline? Gordon, so that's an excellent question. CI/CD is touched on and covered in our Python bootcamp. In the last course, the DevOps course, we have an aspect of CI/CD in it. We use GitHub Actions. So it's not in the Fullstack curriculum where you will find JavaScript, React, and React Native. So typically, to cover it, you will want to sign up for what we call the Complete Software Engineering Bootcamp. And let me share the screen for that. If you go to our website, we have 4 bootcamps, and the last one, the Complete Software Engineering Bootcamp path, is very much in the name. It's the path. It's actually the combination of those. And so that's where we're touching on JavaScript and Python. We're touching on, Node, Django, Flask, Bootstrap, 2 different databases, MongoDB and PostgreSQL. And then we touch on DevOps, CICD, and testing the code. And then we deploy to 3 clouds. So that will be the one. And for that, you'll want to register. Let me pick my community. I'm in Bellevue. You will actually then register for the sequence, that sequence. And that's an 11-month long type of sequence, almost a year. And and so you'll touch on CI/CD here. You'll touch on JavaScript, React here. And then we close on the job hunting. I hope that helps. There's a question here that's actually right on this topic from Kong. Yes, complete software engineering. Well, that's not exactly that equation. It's actually a little bit more than that. It is indeed backend plus Fullstack, but then we start with web dev, the introduction bootcamp, and we end on a job hunting bootcamp where we actually for 4 weeks help you with your job hunting, preparing for your resume. It's an instructor-led type of course as well. We do mock interviews and things like that. So, but that's the spirit. I think you get the spirit of bringing everything together. All right. Another question here, and I'll remove you, Daya and Stan from the list. It was great to talk to you. Let me remove you from that list now. Travis is asking, what projects would you recommend to put on your portfolio when searching for a job? So, as I said, you want to put a project where you've put your heart and soul in it. And so it's not it's not 10 tutorials with a veneer of code. So let me tell you what I do when I recruit for engineers. I go to the GitHub and I look at how complex their project is. I don't want to see a project that has just 2 JavaScript files doing simple stuff. And if I see too many of those, I'm going to probably pass. What I really want to see is I want to see a complex projects with thousands of lines of code doing complex things. And I want to be able to go in there and see advanced techniques being used. And for you, on the other hand, as a developer who does that, in order to achieve that, you really have to stay focused on one big project. That's my recommendation. You start with the front end, you add the back end, you add your own back end, and then you add REST APIs, or you connect with other systems on the back end. On the front end, you start maybe with no state, and then you add state. You start with no authentication, and then you add authentication. But you keep building on that one project so that it's going to impress, just in simple terms of number of lines of code. I will actually go through a piece of software that tells me how many lines of codes are in that project. And that I'm going to have a threshold in my mind of what's good, what's not good. So that will be my answer, is put a project that you can really spend 20, 30 minutes talking about what you've added, where you've struggled, the challenges. That's the project you want to put in. And by the way, we actually are inviting our graduates to record videos of those projects. That's part of our graduate with honors program. And let me actually share with you what that looks like. So all the graduate projects that you're seeing here that are not working right now, and I don't know why. That's interesting. Well, let's actually go to our YouTube. So if I look for new camp, so look at the playlist, and if you go to the students project here, that playlist has all the projects that graduates have submitted that really apply that rule of a big project that does many things that you're going to be able to pitch, that you're going to be able to present. So these are the type of examples that you can use. And right now we have quite a big, almost 60 projects right now from graduates. So have a look, Travis. I hope that's helpful. Let me answer that question. We're thinking about cybersecurity. The challenge with cybersecurity is you really want the curriculum to connect to a certification, because certification in the cybersecurity role is very important. But then once you do that, it becomes pretty expensive to deliver that type of bootcamp, and we don't want to be expensive. So we're thinking about ways to achieve both, being inexpensive like we are right now, and yet preparing for certification. And it's not trivial. All right. Okay. Hey, thank you, Makeup Geek Amanda. Looking forward to seeing you then. Oscar is asking, can people from any country study in UCamp and apply for a scholarship? Actually, the answer is yes. You can join from any country. You want to join in an online community. So let me actually share with you what that looks like. If you go back to our website, when you're presented with a community, you see those 3 here. That's the one you want to join if you're coming internationally. And you're going to do that based on the time zones. So you should know that in each of those communities, we run the Saturday workshops from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain and Central, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. So depending on where you live, pick the slot that works the best for you. And by the way, we are going to make it easier very soon for you to pick the right one. We realize you have to kind of do mental math or time zone math to figure out which is the best community for you to join. But once you've done that, let's say Eastern, it works best for you. That's where you register. So you register there, and then you can apply. You can study from there. You'll join on the Saturday session. If you're in Europe, most likely it's going to be in the afternoon. If you're in Asia, it could be early morning. It's going to depend. And your question was about scholarships. I would say that any of those scholarships, except Reskill America, will be available to you even if you're coming from an international country. Hey, thank you, Gordon, for joining. I will be bringing you actually live on the stream in a few seconds, where we can actually discuss your question around CICD. Thank you so much. All right, let me bring this question again. Is there after-hours tutoring? So yes and no. Tutoring is typically made one-on-one. Our instructors are really there for the full classroom. Some may actually dedicate one-on-one time, but some may not. What they do is they offer office hours. And if you're the only one there, then great, you'll get the one-on-one attention. But if there's other students, then you'll have to divide the time. But really, the formula that we offer is not one-to-one mentoring, and you meet only with the mentor once a week or something. It's you have access to your instructor the whole week, either office hours or via Slack messages. And then on Saturday mornings, you are with your classmates and your instructor working on a workshop. All right, hey, Gordon, I'm going to bring you on. I hope you're ready. There you are. How are you doing?
Hi. Good.
Where are you calling from?
St. Albert, Alberta, which is just north of Edmonton.
Oh, nice. So is that Canada?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Canadian. Yeah, we've had actually, it's funny how much we are seeing more and more international folks. Well, welcome from Alberta. I mean, close to that. So what did you want to discuss with me?
I work with a software development company as a Scrum Master. And so I'm working with developers every day. One of the activities that they have to do is write unit and integration tests. as part of checking in their development code. And a lot of the self-help or self-study resources that I've been looking at so far are a little thin, if not very thin, on actually how to write unit tests and integration tests.
We do cover unit tests a little bit, but I would say we don't go too much in depth into that. I don't know what you find, but I find that really the more senior you get, the more you have expectation to do those things, to write those tests. We are preparing students for junior positions, and the expectation for them to kind of be good at that is not there yet. So we touch on it, but I think you will find that we probably don't do it to the level that they will become extremely proficient or knowledgeable about how to do it right. And there's also a habit, and very few developers, me included, don't get into the habit of, as you build your code, you also build your test. And that habit comes after a while. Once you finally realize that it's going to do good for you, it's going to do well for you. But yeah, so I mean, I think that's the honest answer. We touch on it, but I wouldn't say that someone will be they'll be able to build on that knowledge, but they won't be at the level yet to kind of be super rigorous of always building unit tests and integration tests after building a new feature or something like that.
Okay, I'm just suggesting adding it in to the curriculum.
It's there.
Would be beneficial because it's something we ask on every employment interview about their test writing skills.
It's there. It's just, I mean, it depends on how deep, and I mean, if you ask people how often they're doing it, the students, they'll probably, well, I've done it during the boot camp, and then I've done it maybe once or twice in my project. I don't know how much you would expect a junior developer to have a lot of experience with unit test. I guess that's my point. But let me look at it again. Well, let me share my screen. So we're looking right now, and I'm hoping I'm not going to share any confidential data. We're looking at week 3. That's of our last module in the Python course, where we touch on CI/CD testing, and there are aspects here. So we do, but it's what we call a book in our learning management system, and so we touch on it. And that's it. We introduce the concept. We introduce why it's important. You have an exercise, right? How we integrate that into the CI/CD pipeline. But yeah, so it's there. To what extent would you expect a junior developer to be very comfortable with that? That's another question, I would think.
Okay, it's a start.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was a pleasure meeting with you, Gordon. Are you registered already? Yeah, you said you were registered, right? Already, or not yet?
No, I'm not registered. I'm thinking about it maybe next spring.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope to see you on our Slack channel then. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Okay, you too. All right. That was a great question. And by the way, we had an interesting conversation internally with students just today. People wondering, and there was a question like that in the thread. How can you monetize, or what's the real need for backend developers in the industry right now? And some students wondering, hey, can I really get a job? Can I get a job with backend development, DevOps, CI/CD? Well, you just heard it. Gordon's and in his company, CI/CD testing, anything that has to do with DevOps is actually critical in the interview process in actually recruiting engineers. So it's pretty challenging to grasp how important it is, because it's not as easy to get into than it is to code. DevOps, CI/CD, there's a lot of following instructions, following procedures, and it's not as creative as just coding, for example. So anyway, I thought I would say that. I saw a question about the chair. what chair am I using? Well, first, I'm old, so I need this for my back. It's a Secret Lab chair. I don't have an affiliate link. I kind of like it, kind of don't. It's a bit expensive. As you can tell, to really be comfortable, I need a pillow behind my back. So I don't know. I'll say test it before you buy it, if you can. All right. Question from Travis is, what is the Slack channel? Well, every new student, or actually all our students, are invited to the new camp Slack. It's really only reserved for our students, for paying students. So we don't open it up to prospects or anyone who has not registered. Travis, if you are registered, you will actually get an invite the first Monday, the Monday of your bootcamp. So that's you should be looking up for that. So we are almost 10 minutes away from the end of this stream, and I really appreciate everyone who joined and asked their questions. Let me remind everyone that we have an early bird coming up. What does that mean, an early bird? Well, this is our website right now. You see that we have 2 bootcamps, the fundamentals bootcamp here, and the backend bootcamp starting January 3rd. And if I click register for one, for example, you'll see that it's priced at $349 here until December 20th. Well, guess what? That's Monday, this coming Monday. If you register for the January 3rd bootcamp after Monday, it's going to cost you $399. So you don't want to do that. Now, if you miss that date, if you miss Monday and you want to register at that price, it's not a big deal either. You'll have to register for the January 31st schedule. But if you are really set on starting January 3rd, don't miss the deadline of Monday to register, because after that, it's going to be more expensive. Same thing for the backend. Python with backend with Python bootcamp starts January 3rd. If you register now, it's going to cost you a total of $1,540. And by the way, that's the total price. That's, you will only have to pay $385 to register. But then if you wait after Monday, the price is going up like $300 to $1,840. Again, if you miss that date, it's kind of okay still, because you can always register for the next one, which is February 7th. But if you were set on starting January 3rd, then don't miss the date. And then for our front-end and full-stack bootcamps, because we are starting on the 10th, you will find that the deadline is not this Monday, but the Monday after. And it's pretty much 2 weeks before the beginning of the bootcamp. So if you register, you have until the December 27th to pay the early bird tuition. So that's really what we wanted to talk about. Another thing to consider is our financing. We've partnered with Climb Credit and Ascent to build what we call the Fair Student Agreement. And it's in direct response to income sharing agreement that could end up actually costing you $25,000, $30,000. Some school actually charge way more than that as well. And so we are offering more predictable, I will say, payments. These are very traditional student loans provided by private companies, not government. And they offer, let's look at, for example, because backend starts on Monday, ends on Monday. You could be paying, $0 while you're in the bootcamp, and they only a total of $2,100, and it's based on your credit history. So look at those options. That really allows you to kind of, not have to pay the $380 that we will actually offer you if you were to go with the new camp method of payment. This one is the least expensive in the end, because it's kind of a free payment plan, no tax, no interest. This has interest, you can see that, but really allows you to spread out the payments. So you can apply here. Unfortunately, those options are only available for US residents. So if you're international student, I don't think they are available to you. But if you're international student, the default, I will say, method of payment, which is pretty much pay with a credit card, is available to you. Now, there's that, and there is also the scholarships. The scholarships, we actually take out the last payment of your tuition. And it only works if you're not using a student loan provider, because we don't really know how to transfer the scholarship to that method of payment. But let's say you're registering for front end or the back end with Python bootcamp. You will register for it, and then you'll reach out to us. Let's say you want to apply to the new you. You look at the requirements. You send us an email, and we'll actually remove your last payment. So the last payment will be forgiven if you want. And that's pretty much what I wanted to share. I'm seeing that. So Jenna had the same question as Kong. And what was that question? I need to find it. Okay, gotcha. So, is that the question? That was already answered. All right. So yeah, you will get all the information in the email, but actually the Slack link, I believe, is in our learning management system. So I don't think the Slack link is in an email. It's actually once you get into our learning management, that's where you are finding the Slack invitation. What is that question that we had? Oh, there you go. Was it the one? Aside from the early bird or any holiday promotion you can drop for us in this event? Damn. No, I'm sorry. So we had a promotion almost a month ago now during Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday. Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But those are finished. They're over. So the early bird is it. So yeah, don't forget to register before this Monday for the backend and the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript bootcamp. Next Monday for the front end of Fullstack bootcamp, and you'll be all set. You'll get a great deal already. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I want to thank everyone who joined. It was fun. I really appreciate Gordon and the others for joining me online. Stan, I want to have more people join me online. That's more fun, I will say. I'll share. And there will not be a show until we're back in January. I'm going to take a few days off, enjoy the time with my family and the team as well. But I wish everyone great holidays, and I hope to see you on January 3rd or January 10th in our bootcamp. Hit me on Slack when you're there. All right, take care, everyone. See ya.